All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy new comic day, at least for DC Books. So, I am Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, after we bag and board all the new comics, Andy and I divide them up, we read through them, and we try to tell you more about them than you'll read in just a general solicitation. A lot of times they're very vague, so we will tell you what these books are about. We try not to spoil too much,
hmm
though. We'll also let you know about major instances in them, first appearances, things of that sort,
hmm
so that you're better prepared to go into your shop tomorrow and know which books you want to shop for.
Yep. So this week, where this is also the last of this show we're doing before Free Comic
Yep.
Book
It
Day.
is the lead up to what is, for most stores, the biggest day of the year, free
Yeah,
comic book
it's like
days.
our Black Friday. It's our big sales day. I mean, this is our big one.
And we do it up big at our shop. We give away a lot,
hmm
a lot of books. Different stores, I've heard some stores just give away one.
It's
That
just
is,
a this is a little taste.
yeah, that's a little bit, that's a little Scrooge like. We give away much
They
more
want you
than
to come
that.
back with the mustache and the glasses and be like, I am a completely different person.
So Andy previewed some of the bigger books for Free Comic Book Day, and he's going to tell you about those as well.
hmm Yeah, so are you ready to
Yes, let's
let's get
go ahead.
into it.
Yep.
So, kind of lumping all of these together. These are kind of, I think, uh, some of our big ones that people are going to be coming in for. We also have, of course, House of Slaughter, Stray Dogs. There's some other big ones, but I did want to cover the two DC ones and the one Marvel one uh, real quick. So, first off, we have what could be, funny enough, maybe my pick of the week, even though this doesn't come out until
Not
Saturday.
officially released.
This is Avengers featuring the Hulk. So this is kind of a half and half book. The first half is an Avengers story. Second half is Hulk. The Avengers story I really enjoyed. It is by Jason Aaron, the current writer of Avengers, and Ivan Coelho, who's one of the Stormbreaker artists they have.
Right.
And it's a super interesting thing. So people are going to get to read this this weekend. So I'll try not to give away too much about it, but it does set up some very interesting storylines that I think maybe Avengers are going to be tackling going forward. Where I know they teased before, maybe there is a character called like the Avenger.
Hmm.
So a kind of an antithesis of all the Avengers. So you'll have to read it to find out the details about that. There's also a new place in it called, let's see. Well, the title of the Avengers issue is The Tower at the Center of Everything.
Huh.
And that is pretty literal. And when they say tower, it's an Avengers tower. But what does it mean by the center of everything?
Hmm.
And you'll have to see. It's a very interesting. This tower is guarded by um, some really familiar but really cool characters. But the main thing I wanted to get into with this is also it does have first appearance of a new Avengers team.
Huh.
We'll see if we ever see them again after this because they are very specific to a certain thing, but still really cool. I love seeing new designs for characters. But the part I really loved in this was the Hulk issue. So I have really been looking forward to this Hulk series starting.
Is this the Donny Cates
This
Hulk?
is the Donny Cates Hulk,
Okay.
art by Ryan Ottley, and it is so much fun. What's really cool about it is so Al Ewing has had a huge success with Immortal Hulk.
Right.
That's coming to an end, and that was a very like cerebral Hulk series. A lot of deep diving into like who the Hulk is and his family and all of that. This is more to your classic Hulk smash, and there's a lot of smashing in this. Hulk's not the only one who does the smashing, but in this short story, Donny Cates definitely builds up this is what this Hulk series is going to be about. I think once people read this, they're going to be all on board. It is a lot of fun. This is the more intelligent Hulk. Like, he can form full sentences and everything.
Ah.
And he kind of describes through it like, you know, the Avengers don't like me anymore. This other team doesn't like me anymore. So here's what I'm gonna do. It's really, really cool, and I really liked the Hulk thing. So I definitely, when you go into your store, if they let you pick more than one, definitely pick up this one. But also, if they let you, pick just one, maybe consider this one because I really liked it, and it's a cool introduction to the new series.
Hmm.
Also, we have Batman Special Edition. I'm not sure what the Special Edition means in it. So this is leading into Fear State. So this is by your creative team of James Tynion and Jimenez doing it.
Jimenez.
Your classic team that's working on it. And this is a good kind of overview of like what we've done so far, and now we're showing you all the pieces in place to lead into Fear State. Because we know a lot of people who come out on Free Comic Book Day are people who maybe don't frequent comic book stores
Right.
monthly and keep track of every little minute thing. So I think this is a good, like, hey, we're teasing you with what's going on with Batman, and then, hopefully entice people to come back and read Fear State. But it does have some really cool stuff with Scarecrow and all that. It also has a backup story, but it's a reprint, which they tend to do that sometimes. But the reprint is of I Am Batman #0 that you're going to be talking about later.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. And the last one that is coming out is really interesting for a Free Comic Book Day. I think they knew that King Shark was going to be one of the breakout characters of Suicide Squad
movie.
Because this is about him. It's by Tim Seeley and art's by Scott Collins. And what I'm wondering about this one, I'm not sure, is we do have a King Shark mini-series coming out. I'm not sure if the pages in this are going to be the pages in that coming up. I don't know if it's going to work that way. But it is really cool. It pulls in a character actually from Nightwing that we haven't seen in a little while to team up with King Shark on a Suicide Squad mission. I thought it was really fun. This is not quite as kind of dopey of a King Shark as was in the movie, but still really cool. And you could tell they've kind of modeled him after that version, at least in his appearance. This also has a reprint of some of the pages from Suicide Squad Get Joker #1. So enticing new people to maybe check out that series that is on the shelves right now and that's really good. So definitely 3 books that you'll want to keep an eye out for this Saturday for Free Comic Book Day. I enjoyed all of them. If I had to pick one, if I could only choose one, I would probably pick the Avengers and Hulk. Both were new stories. I don't think they're going to be in the actual issues that follow. And they were both just a whole lot of fun.
And
so.
Of course, there's dozens of other Free Comic
Yes.
Book Day books. We're going to have pretty much all of them. The other 2 big ones to look for is Enter the Slaughter.
Mhm.
Of course, that's James Tynion. And then, that's the continuation and expansion of the Something is Killing the Children world.
Yep.
And then the other big one is Stray Dogs.
Yep.
Has their Free Comic Book Day issue. So, we just like to inform you wherever you shop. Those are the ones that people are going to be fighting over. So get there early.
Yep.
And grab those ones if you can. But we had so many boxes. Andy can only dig through so many.
I know. If you're wondering why I picked these, it's because these are the 2 DC actually came in our shipment this week.
Right.
And then we had this Avengers one sitting out that we got from somewhere else. So those were the ones I could read without moving tons of boxes.
Yeah, we've inventoried, but we're still getting everything ready. So we're going to follow up. You were talking a little bit about Batman. I'm going to follow up Batman with some more Batman. So this is my pick of the week. I read Batman 89 #1 today, and I quite enjoyed it. So by pick of the week, what I mean by that is it is the book that I just enjoyed the most.
Mm-hmm.
All spec aside, I just really liked reading this book. So this is set in Tim Burton's Batman world from Batman #1 and 2. I believe it takes place in between the first movie and the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
So Penguin hasn't showed up yet, but Joker is dead. It is by the original screenwriter, Sam Hamm, who I think his name is wonderful.
Him and John Hamm can hang out and have a ham party.
sharing ham sandwiches together, just passing them back and forth. But original screenwriter Sam Hamm writes this, and I have to say, it really felt like the old movies.
Mm.
Like this guy, he has not lost his writing chops. It read really well. A lot of times you take somebody who's a screenwriter and you put them on comics, and things are too dialogue
Yeah,
based.
yeah.
No, I think he translated very well to comics, but at the same time, I could picture it a little bit more like a movie than
Mm.
most comics. I would say so. You do get that side of the fact that he really is a screenwriter. So this begins on October 31st, so it's Halloween night, and you find out that there are a lot of people dressed up as Batman and a lot of people dressed up as Joker, and this isn't altogether good. In fact, there are a lot of gangs that have formed, some of which are vigilante gangs.
Mm.
We're going to keep the streets safe as Batman, and other ones are more criminal gangs. Well, Harvey Dent, who is based on Billy D. Williams, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
They really caught Billy D. Williams' mannerisms and features real well in this. He decides that he's going to take down Commissioner Gordon. He blames Commissioner Gordon for, um, I guess, backing Batman,
Hmm.
which has created the situation in the city. So I always like it when, typically you have good versus evil. I
Hmm.
like it when you have two people who both want good, but they both disagree in a way where it
Hmm.
puts them in conflict.
Hmm.
And that's what they do in this. Um, a few other things, you get a new origin of Two Faces coin that I really liked. And it's not a very dark origin. It's actually kind of a nice origin. So
He
look
got
for
it from a
that.
coin return, and he said,
No.
"This one's scratched."
Much bigger than that.
Okay.
Much bigger than that. So I can't say too much more, otherwise I'll spoil the issue. Obviously, Bruce Wayne's in it. Correct.
Bruce Wayne.
Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne's in it. Is a really good first issue. If you enjoyed those movies, I would grab it. If you've never seen the movies, I don't think it matters at all. There's hardly any reference
Hmm.
to what happened in Batman 1 in this book. But the other thing I wanted to mention is a lot of news sites are reporting that there is a new Robin in this book, which is the first appearance of a new Robin and the first Robin in the Batman '89 universe.
Yeah.
Which could continue.
Mhm.
They could make more after this. This is a 6-part series, but I mean, they could just as easily do other Batman '89
Mhm.
books. What I'd like to say is there is a new character in this. There is a new costume character in this, but that character is not a Robin, is not revealed to be a Robin. Maybe later in, maybe these news sites have talked to someone who knows later information, this character becomes Robin. I got to set the record straight. I'm not going to tell you who the character is, how they interact with whoever in this. You'll have to read it yourself. I'm just saying this is not the first appearance of a new Robin unless this character turns into a Robin.
Yeah.
So just wanted to set the record straight because I keep reading that on other sites. So let's see. This was my favorite read of the week so far. We have the Ordway variant. And then we are also selling this 1 in 25 Keown's variant, sort of a design variant. We're selling it to our customers for $35.
And there's like a Robin appearing character on that cover,
I know.
but
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah. I just think the news is ahead of stuff. Like, I feel like we talk about this all the time. A lot of sites, they get news from each other
Hmm.
and they don't actually read the stuff. So we're here as readers to be like, no, here's what the real
Yeah.
deal is.
So a book I might be my other pick of the week, and it's a weird one because I would never thought that, but I had a lot of fun with it. It is Avengers Tech-On Avengers. That's the full title, Avengers Twice. This is a collaboration between Marvel and Bandai Namco, which is really interesting. It's Marvel and basically a toy company.
Does that mean there's almost guaranteed toys that are going to come out of this?
See, I've seen designs that look a lot like these for pretty expensive toys. I did not look into it 100% to see, like, do they already exist? Are they coming out?
Okay.
But I've seen kind of your not mech, but that like Sentai armor, Captain America and Iron Man and stuff.
Mm.
But this, whether there are toys or not, this is definitely leaning that direction. So in this, initially I thought, okay, this is definitely a big Elseworld. I think you could consider this an Elseworld, or you could consider this, kind of squeezed in there between a couple of stories,
Hmm.
because it does make reference to the Avengers being on Krakoa. All the pieces are in kind of the same place that they are currently in the comics.
Interesting.
But in it, it basically says, 1 year ago, Thanos wreaked his havoc like he does. A lot of characters died. We don't necessarily know who they are, but we know that it was a pretty devastating fight. Of course, the Avengers ended up winning, but this is 1 year later, and Captain America is doing a speech about it, and like those we lost, and we're always remembering them. All the rest of the Avengers are there. But then somebody interrupts this, as does happen a lot. And I was very surprised to see who it is. I don't necessarily want to give away who it was because I thought it was such a cool reveal, but it is a character that people know, but with a very different look. And you could tell this character has been majorly powered up. Come to find out, uh, a year ago when they defeated Thanos, the Infinity Stones got destroyed, but this character got a hold of the Infinity Stones dust.
Using the Infinity Dust Bin,
I was going to
he
say,
gathered them up.
the Infinity Shop Vac is the only thing that can hold them. So that's kind of the setup for this. And of course, with this new power, this villain basically says no more powers. All of the either mutant powers or somehow gifted powers, like Captain America, um, or taken away.
Hmm.
So you get a bunch of scenes of like Ben Grimm running on a treadmill, and then slowly he's turning back into human. It's like, what's going on? Captain Marvel's falling out of the sky. This is a pretty devastating thing. So basically, what you can get from that is the people who have powers left are people like Iron Man, people who use tech
Right.
for their strength. So um, this is very similar to the series we just had, the Avengers Mech Strike,
Next strike.
but different enough that I think that if you read that one, you can pick this one up and enjoy it too. Similar if you like the tone of kind of a very anime, um, like Japanese action movie type thing, you'll like this. But I think the designs are really cool. You can kind of figure out what happens in this. It's definitely setting up for some cool stuff to come. But I also really enjoyed some of the story beats in it that were didn't feel gimmicky. It didn't feel like just get to the part with the robots. It was actually like, okay, if all the characters got their powers taken away, Wolverine. Wolverine basically just drops down. Like he can't handle having the metal in his body.
He kind of needs his powers.
So a lot of that stuff is explored too. Like, what do each of the characters do with this? So there's way more to this issue than just that. That's just the first couple of pages. But I really recommend this one. I thought it was really fun. It, for a side story, you don't have to read this. It's not in the main continuity, but I think people who pick it up will really enjoy it. And the stuff they tease for the next issue is even cooler. It looks like we're going to get some Avengers versus a giant monster in Tokyo, and I'm all for that. I think that is awesome. And the giant monster may be a certain Spider-Man villain. So really cool. You'll definitely want to check this one out. It's got some really nice variants. So this is the Chamba variant. That's like his nickname, and that is also the interior artist. And the interior art looks a lot like that. It's very anime. It's very actiony. Really cool.
The Avengers going up against sort of a kaiju monster in this series kind of makes sense. It's like the natural progression.
Yeah.
First we get the mech suits, then that.
We have this, and it's just called the action figure variant or the toy variant. So I can't tell. I don't think that's just a photo of a figure, but I want it. So really cool. I do recommend this series for those who just like cool action with the Avengers.
All right, so Defenders has a new series. I read the number one today. It is written by Al Ewing with art by Javier Rodriguez. And I have to say, Rodriguez does a really good job. In fact, I call this my art pick of the week. The interiors were great. It was really between this and Batman 89 as to which my favorite was.
Hmm.
Batman 89, I just really enjoyed reading it, and then putting me back in that world was great. This reads really well too, but the art in this is fantastic. A lot of magic, a lot of interdimensional things, yanking people through dimensional portals, time travel, all that's in here. You know, Al Ewing, when he writes big.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is a bit of a setup issue, though, is what I'll say. I think I'll have more to say on Defenders when I read issue number 2. And the reason is you've heard this premise before. Something terrible's about to happen, someone tells somebody else, and the person they tell has to pull the team together.
Hmm.
That's what this is. This is a gotta pull the team together issue. But what makes this more interesting than just that premise is the Defenders have had multiple teams.
Yeah.
So the team that gets pulled together is sort of like the ultimate
The greatest
team.
hits.
Yeah, at least for this situation.
Mhm.
You know, because it is weird. I mean, you can see on the cover a lot of the team members. Where's Hulk?
Yeah.
Hulk is definitely an old, but then again, you know, Hulk can lead to a lot of trouble as
Yeah.
well, which is why, you know, like you were saying in his book, he's waxing about how the Avengers don't like him anymore.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the Defenders don't either, and this issue kind of proves it. So the new Defenders team, I'll tell you who's on the team because I mean you can see it on covers, you can read in solicitations. Of course, it's Doctor Strange who's pulling everybody together. The first new member is the Masked Raider. So the Masked Raider is a character back from Marvel Comics #1 from 1939. This is before the Marvel as we knew it, as we know it, even existed. This character is old. They brought him back lately in Marvel Comics issue 1000. That was maybe 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, he was kind of the through line through all the different stories that were in it.
Correct. He has the Eternity Mask. Now, this Masked Raider is not the one from 1939. That was revealed in Marvel Comics 1000. He is a new character who's picked up the mantle. So he is the first member. He's the one that brings Doctor Strange the dire news. Other members, you got Silver Surfer, which, I mean, good to have on any team.
I mean, you kind of don't need a team if you got Silver Surfer
I would
on your
pick
team.
him for almost any reason, yeah. I mean, not only is he powerful, but he's just very, like, good at heart. He's got that Captain America spirit to him. But some of the other members, which are more interesting, a little less obvious choices, Red Harpy is on the team.
Has she appeared in anything?
She's been in Immortal Hulk quite a bit. And then we have Cloud, who, okay, so Cloud's a deep cut. She was on the Defenders ages back.
Okay.
She is a nebula, I mean a space nebula who has taken human form. So she's on the team. And then we have Taya. Now, I don't know if that's the right way to say the name because this is the first appearance.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a new character named Taya who is, it seems like she is likely Galactus's mother. Now, I'm saying this, she's definitely from where Galactus is from. And you'll have to read the book to figure out how did this person get here? Like, why? I'm not telling you any of that. I'm just telling you who's on the team. You can find this info everywhere. But so first appearance of who is likely Galactus's mother. Now that, it's not 100% revealed in this book, but that's just what has been said all over the place, even in certain solicitations. And let me see, is that all of the new members? So that is the members of the team. This book also has the first appearance of an entity called Omnimax, who resembles sort of a Galactus type being. So I don't know if this is all going to take place more in like Galactus time or on his world. I'm not sure. Like I said, it's very much a setup issue of bad stuff's about to happen. Now watch as Doctor Strange does some stuff to pull these people together. It's cool. It's a good read, but that is generally the premise. It's neat seeing all the people, where they come from, how they react. But it really does sort of end with, okay, now the plot's about to progress.
Yeah.
So that's my take on Defenders #1. I do recommend it. So we have some variants here. Here is the Peach Momoko variant. Got some Silver Surfer face on there.
Big old face.
Yep. And then we have the Ronlim variant. If you're going to have enough covers with Silver Surfer on it, you better invite Ronlim to the party. And then we have the next two are kind of stranger ones. So here is the Rob Liefeld one because of Deadpool's 30th anniversary. No, Deadpool is not in this book. It's just a cover. And lastly, this one, okay, this must have been heavily delayed. Here is the Heroes Reborn cover, which, or many of you might know, that event ended quite some time ago.
Yep.
Excellent event, but, it's been over for some time. And then we are selling the 1 in 25 Martin variant for $25 to our customers. And there you see the Masked Raider, Doctor Strange. And then this is the 1 in 50 Perez variant we're selling for $30. It has a lot of the past, oops, I went the wrong way. Past Defenders all over it, which I think is really cool. It's cool when you can just really examine a cover and think of all the implications, picture all the teams, wonder what Howard the Duck was doing at the time. So
cool. Next one I am going to talk about is one that usually we don't talk about, in depth too much, these later issues, but this is Future State Gotham number 4. This one was, people have been talking about, one, because awesome connecting covers with this, but also a lot of people have been talking about first appearance of this new character called
Hunter Panic?
Hunter Panic.
Yeah.
I had to say that to make sure I didn't say the other name for the character. So I haven't seen anyone reporting anywhere that Hunter Panic is sort of a character we have met before, but not through your normal means of DC Comics.
Right.
So I won't give away who it is. It may be a new version of this character. They don't say kind of the character under the mask's full name, so it was hard to tell if this is a new person donning this mantle or not. But it seems like they are bringing them in to stay for the long haul on this. I know this one issue is not written by Joshua Williamson, but he's been doing all the issues up till here, and he kind of is the main guy spearheading this Future State spinoff. And he mentioned he wants every character that's, even remotely related to Batman to appear in it. And this is a far string member of that. And I think that's really cool. It has to do with like the timeline this takes place in and everything. The other really cool thing about this is we do get a lot of Harley and Punchline dialogue together, and kind of you have Harley, who of course has moved on from Joker.
Right.
That's current day Harley. Punchline, not so much, but you could tell maybe she starts going that direction as well. And they're at different legs of the same road, kind of becoming their own person without Joker. And it's very interesting to see some of the dialogue in this. Does Harley pity her? She certainly doesn't like her. They are
no love lost between them.
Yeah,
I assume.
but she kind of maybe feels bad because she knows what Joker can do to somebody.
Right.
Very don't underestimate this series. It is pulling some heavy weight in the character building stuff. The other big thing in it is a revelation. If there is a next Batman, what other next versions are there? I'm going to leave it there. You can speculate, but if someone else has taken up the mantle, like Jace Fox has taken up the mantle of Batman, there's other mantles to be taken up at this point. And I won't say a character is seen, but I would not be surprised if the next issue has a first appearance in it.
Yeah.
Of this character. This character even gets the special font when they say their name. It looks like a title font for them. So keep that in mind. Check out this issue. I think this series is still highly underrated. I love the art style in it. The kind of black and white manga style art. It continues to be awesome. Some really cool stuff is revealed in this one, but definitely don't want to miss this. It's also got this really awesome connecting cover that you can put side by side. Even the border kind of goes the wrong way just so they fit right. And then we have the Ivanov Suicide Squad variant. Hope everyone got the chance to watch Suicide Squad in theaters or on HBO. Now we get a lot of these references of like where these characters are
I
and
know the
everything.
covers all make so much more sense to me now that I've seen the movie.
This one, maybe, maybe not.
There's one strange factor on that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Two of those things make sense. One does not make so much sense. Okay, so I read I Am Batman #0. This is the first issue or the 0 issue of the first ongoing series to feature the next Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, Jace Fox has been the next Batman in several series, Future State Next Batman, and then Second Son. But this is the first ongoing one that will feature him as Batman. So this takes place after Second Son, but it precedes all the Future State stuff. In Second Son, he has found a hidden laboratory. It was sort of like a Batman hideaway where Wayne Enterprise used to be. Of course, the Foxes own all that now. And so it doesn't seem like Lucius even knows about this. It's just like a little room that Bruce had hidden away that Jace discovers by accident. And in it, there was a Batman suit of armor. So it's not one of his typical suits. It's one of like the heavy armor Batman suits. So that all happened in Second Son. It kind of left him staring at it and let you as a reader go, oh, okay, he's getting ideas.
Yeah.
He's seeing this and he's not thinking, I'll eBay that. He's thinking, I could become that if needed. So in this issue, he's with some help. He's trying to hack into the armor to be able to use it because he has his own ideas on what Gotham needs and what he could do if he could be Batman, if he could represent Batman. So a lot more on his thinking on why he does this is all in this issue, but that's generally the thrust of things for part of the story. However, fitting the shoes of Batman is very difficult. Well, what makes it even worse is this is a modern day Gotham. Okay, so this isn't Gotham back when Batman started. This is Gotham. Everyone's on their cell phones. Everyone's able to spin stories. And so how's he going to fit Batman's shoes in this modern day of unrest? I will say, if you read the issue, he tries. And it does not go very well for a lot of different reasons. So that's the fresh part of this. Is it's sort of like, what if Batman started today? What would people say about him? What would they tweet about him? What would, how would, when you have different opinions out there, I guess on the internet, which ones tug harder?
Yeah.
So they're kind of exploring a little bit of that. And one thing though is we still don't know why he calls himself Jace. This issue, there's a bit of a promise that if you keep reading, meaning it's not in this issue, they are going to finally reveal that. And there is some big story to that. Basically, there's a flashback in this that they take you up to where you're about to learn it. But that flashback doesn't continue. So I assume it's going to continue in future issues.
In issue 1, maybe.
Correct. So this is ongoing for those of you who want to grab all the number ones or just check out the new series. So we've got 2 variants on this. This is the Derek Chu variant, and I believe Chu worked on this with Federici. It's like both of them together.
Weird.
Yeah, that's what I was reading, and that's why it doesn't look quite like either one of their work. And then this is the Wilkins variant.
Cool. Next up, I have one that we didn't even know was going to be kind of a hot book, but it sounds like people are really interested in it, and I'm glad anytime people are claiming for Star Wars, it's a good thing. So this is Star Wars High Republic Adventures, The Monster of Temple Peak, #1 of 3. This is going to be a 3-issue mini series. This is, of course, part of the IDW Adventures line. So, but I don't discredit because of that, because they have been delivering some really awesome stuff in the adventures side of Star Wars. And, you know, no different than any of the Marvel stuff. This still has really solid stories. It's just not part of like the main narrative that the Marvel story is doing. This is a side one. I think that's a good thing because this is definitely welcoming to new readers if you haven't been reading the main High Republic series or even High Republic Adventures, the main ongoing series there. This one um, more feels like a Star Wars story set in the High Republic timeline, which is like 200 years before Phantom Menace, but doesn't have to do with like the big threat of the Nile or the Drengir or any of that big stuff. This is cool because this is a story about one ex Jedi.
Hmm.
So this is the first appearance of Ty Yorick, who we don't quite know the full story of why she left the Jedi Order, but we now know that she is going through the galaxy. Her and her droid, who is kind of not the most likable droid, kind of a
Hmm.
kind of operates as her manager a little bit. He's like, okay, get back on your job, get to back what you're doing. But what I think is really cool is she's an ex Jedi who is now a monster hunter.
Cool.
So she is hired almost like a bounty hunter to on different worlds when a town is being terrorized by some weird threat, some beast from the woods that have been, you know, attacking them, stealing their things. She's brought in. But of course, she still knows how to use the Force. She's still got a lightsaber. She's kind of sworn off that side of being a Jedi.
She just doesn't take orders from the Jedi Order
Yeah,
anymore.
which is kind of touched on here and there that she's definitely hiding from them too. She doesn't want them to find out that what she's doing or whatever, because she's at one point on the same planet as some Jedi that are coming there for a different purpose, and she's kind of trying to close herself off so they don't discover her.
Right.
I think it's really cool. I like this idea of an ex Jedi because they all have various reasons for wanting to leave, and they're not always bad reasons. But in this one, she has taken a job from a individual who there is a monster of Temple Peak. He's named this peak Temple Peak. But what's different about this is she kind of has a check in the Force about something's not right here. So we don't, you know, we definitely don't find out a lot about what it is. We do see a hint of what the monster is. You can even see a hint of it on the cover. Um,
Mm.
I'm interested to see like what does this have to do with the Force? Why is it kind of getting involved? But she's also an interesting character too because she won't take a job um, unless she consults these like rocks that are very much like almost like a scrying thing or shaking a magic 8 ball or something like should I do this? So it's heavily like on this she's not comfortable making her own decisions. Her droid even calls her out on that like you know you need to take this job, you need the money, and she's like well I got to consult these stones first.
Huh.
So it's weird to have like a superstitious Jedi because it's like kind of your whole thing is based off of you know what some people would perceive to be superstition.
Right.
So they've crafted a very interesting character here. And what if the stones say, "Hey, you should do this job," and she's still like, "I don't know about it." I'm very interested to see where this goes. I like that they're expanding the world. They're also deviating from the main through point of High Republic to explore what else is going on in the galaxy at this time. When the Jedi are at their height and people actually want them around. So really cool. I really liked issue number 1. I do like it's only 3 issues. It's a very consumable size. It's you know it's not daunting. If you pick up the first one, you like it. You're like okay, I can. It's going to be affordable to get all of them. Um, Also wanted to just mention that High Republic number 8 came out as well. This one claims on some sites that it's the first appearance of 2 different characters. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I believe they showed up in the issue right before it. Um, I would need to go back and double check that, but from what I can tell, it's not. This is kind of. It seems like maybe the last part of our main story that's been going on, because this leads right up into the events of the recent novel that came out, which is kind of part two of the stuff going on in High Republic. You see kind of the big revelation that happens in the novel at the end of this. So definitely a cool issue if you've been reading it. You'll want to check that out. We also have a really nice variant cover from Anadito with some of our main characters from this series.
All right, so from Marvel, I read Miles Morales Spider-Man number 29. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the big info on this one. What do we have on the suit here? We've got, or I'm sorry, what do we have on the cover here? His suit, and it's just sort of on the ground. So, as we say, we try not to spoil story, but we do tell people about firsts and reasons you may want to pick up issues, possibly for spec or just because you think it's cool. By the end of this issue, you get the first appearance of Miles Morales' new costume. That's a big deal. He's not been around nearly as long as Peter Parker. And, when Peter gets new costumes, it's a big deal. So it's an even bigger deal for Miles, who really hasn't done that. So by the end of this issue, you heard it here, possibly first, because I haven't heard anybody talking about it, mainly because I don't think everyone reads their stuff quite as early as we do. But by the end of this issue, new Miles Morales' outfit is fully revealed with him wearing it and everything.
Yeah, they were saying the next issue was going to be like him in a new suit. But I remember talking to you before this came out and be like, they rarely do that and not tease it in the issue before
it.
And so that's what this is.
You get a good look at it on him by the end of this issue. So this is the covering says this is the fallout after the Clone Saga. So Miles' Clone Saga has ended, and he now has what he kind of considers a new brethren in the clone named Shift, the one who is sort of a blob and can change his form and all, who is presumably the last clone that's still around, that Miles knows of at least. So, but the problem is, and we learned this a few issues ago, the clones are all dying. They're unstable. So part of this issue is Miles trying to find a way to stabilize Shift. There is much more going on with Shift than that, but I'm not going to tell you. You got to read it. I just want to tell you the general plot without all the beat by beat thing. The other thing is, we forget that one good thing about Miles is his life is not just superheroing. He has a very active life in school with his family. There's a lot of that in this issue. And that makes the superhero stuff more interesting. That he deals with real life issues. So, for instance, in this, he has a school teacher who really believes in him, even though he's absent a lot. Has a lot of unexplained issues come up. Well, the teacher's trying to help him win a scholarship where he has to write an essay titled "What Makes You You," which is very vague. I think that would perplex a lot of people to try to write an essay like that. But it's a really good storytelling part where Miles is trying to figure out what does make him him. And he goes through it a little bit in his mind. I thought that was a very cool part to this that I think fans of Miles will enjoy reading. So I think those are the main two things. Finding the cure for Shift. I'm not saying he does, but he's seeking that out. And him kind of catching up on his personal life and his family life and his school life. And then, of course, new outfit by the end.
Yeah, it seems like this is okay, we finished a big story with the clone. The next one is going to be new suit, new status quo type thing. Yep. So this is kind of our breath before we hit that next
You
thing.
also get to see at the end of this issue the cover for issue 30, and he's in the new suit on the cover. So next issue will be first cover appearance of it. So we just have one variant on this. This is the Clark variant. So this is not the new suit. This is the regular suit. I think anybody who reads Miles knows that, but not everybody reads every issue. So just so you know, this is not it. This is just a cool variant that you might want.
Okay, now it is Masters of the Universe Revelation Time. This is cool because when I talked about the first issue, the series had not come out yet. Now, issue 2, we do have the series. So, kind of seeing it through a different lens. I love the series, um, and I'm so happy that there's kind of, now that we wait for part 2 of season 1, there's something to fill in that space. And what I like about the series is the first issue, we kind of got a backstory on King Grayskull and the Preternia stuff that we now know played pretty heavily into the series. This one is interesting too because yes, we have this through line of this beast and how's it related to the sword and all that, but we're getting different snippets of characters, and this one is on Skeletor, and it's very funny because when I started reading it, I was like, this seems weird. This is not quite the Skeletor I know. And by the middle, I was like, okay, or were they going in this direction? You'll have to read it to find out. But this is Skeletor telling Evelyn about his origin,
Hmm.
and it is very odd. I'll just say that he shows us, and we see all of it, a world of lowly laborers who all have skull heads with, and Skeletor has his skull wife and his skull baby.
Have we ever? So you know much more about Masters of the Universe than I do. Have we ever had a Skeletor origin told?
Yes, but I feel like it's kind of like the Joker thing. It's like, when is he lying about it and
Right.
when is it the truth? So
Okay.
we do know from one of the series that he was a character called Keldor, who was He-Man's dad's stepbrother, so that kind of makes him He-Man's step uncle.
I see.
Um, the idea of Keldor is pretty widely considered to be the truth, but that character doesn't play in here, and you'll have to read it to find out,
Hmm.
is Skeletor telling the truth, or is this just another story he's got? And I like that idea of like, he's never going to tell you 100% of anything. I really like this issue. I thought whether the story he weaves is true or not, it's kind of up for you to decide. And I like the elements that he shows us of it. It's pretty cool. I'm enjoying this. I can't wait for the next issue because I like these kind of spotlights on the different characters. You see characters in this that did not appear in the show, that have very few comic appearances. I would have to go back and check to see if all of them have appeared, but maybe some characters from the She-Ra side of things show up, which is really cool. You'll have to check it out. My favorite character that never gets any screen time is actually in this, so you can guess who it is. But I really like this issue, and really cool variant. They Sienkiewicz variant.
Sienkiewicz still getting so much work.
So much work for many decades now,
I'll be
and
talking
still,
about him later.
yeah, still turn out some really good work.
Okay, so from Aftershock Comics, I read Campisi, The Dragon Incident. I believe the Dragon Incident subtitle or subheading or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you call, I think that was added later. I think when I first read about it, it was just called Campisi,
Yeah.
which is the main character there with the baseball bat. That's his last name. His name is Sonny Campisi. So I think they decided, let's give a little more
More
than that,
context.
even though you see a dragon there. So check out, I wanted to point out, look in the corner there, it says Aftershock, 100 titles since 2015. So that is amazing. And,
Yeah.
that is something to celebrate that this company, I mean, a lot of new comic companies, they come and they go. Aftershock has been around now for 6 years, but the amount of titles they've
Yeah.
released, that's incredible. I had no idea. I would have guessed they did at least 50, but 100.
Yeah.
That is really something. And of course, some of their stuff's been optioned now, like the Kaiju score just got
Mhm.
optioned. I think it's their fourth thing to get optioned. I put back a lot of Aftershock stuff because I knew early on they were going to be a company to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is Campisi about? The first thing I will tell you is it takes place it's a modern day Earth, except for one distinct major difference. Dragons are real. Okay, so this is a story told sort of in our time. It's a city story. It happens in a place called the Green Village, which I believe is supposed to be Greenwich Village, New
Mm.
York. That's what it looks like. Super urban area. So Sonny Campisi is a mob enforcer. He doesn't seem all bad though, meaning he tries to keep the streets like clean and nice, but he
Mm-hmm.
does work for the mob. The first thing I'll say about this book is, there's a lot of narration from him, from Sonny, and it is extremely easy to hear it in a Italian American soprano style gangster accent.
Yeah.
It's written that way. Like I'm not just putting it like when you see the word choice, you'll hear it
Mm-hmm.
if you can hear that voice in your head. Um, so basically, a dragon appears in the city. These dragons are very, very rare. Like, I mean, we're talking, they're not spotted, but one every ton of years. And usually they don't hurt anyone or hurt anything. But this dragon has come to the city on a vengeance quest after the ancestor of somebody who I would presume was a dragon slayer.
Mm-hmm.
There is an opening that's set in the past that it shows that there were sort of human dragon interactions. The other thing is the dragons are not just beasts, they can talk.
Mm.
So they have a culture, and apparently there was wars between the humans and the dragons.
Is that like medieval times?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, by the end of the issue, you could probably guess the mob doesn't really like that the dragon's around. Sonny is their enforcer, so it may be up to him to take the dragon out. So very different premise. That's what I'll say. I've not heard a premise quite like that in some time. Another thing that really amused me, and it might just be me personally, this book ended with a fake fourth graders historical paper. So it's like a fourth grader wrote a history paper on the history of dragons for their fourth grade class, and it's pretty short. It's easy to read. It's funny, and the teacher has marked it up like all these
With like the red
inaccuracies.
pen.
Yeah, in fact, at the end of the history, which this is teaching you about the world, the kid got an F. So I thought that was
It's
funny.
a very harsh teacher.
It really was. It really was. So if you pick this book up, definitely look at the fourth grade report at the end of it. So a lot of just different writing, just some surprises in this series, right from the premise all the way to the fourth grade report at the end.
Aftershock always brings the initial weird idea to set up a story, a good elevator pitch each time.
The only company with probably stranger stories than that are still good and coherent, worth reading, would probably be Bad Idea.
Yeah,
quite honestly. So, and it just has this cover. There's an incentive cover, but we are out of that already.
So next up, this is a Joker number 6. This has been one of my favorite series. Every time an issue comes out, there's always just really cool stuff in it. Great page turns and big moments and everything. And after this last issue kind of wrapped up Joker's time in Brazil, he is, as you can see on the cover, globetrotting to the next destination, which is Paris, France. Which is really funny because one of the scenes, Jim Gordon knows that he's there and he's tracking him. Jim looks over and there's a mime. And there's something just really funny about this world with Joker, and there's this mime, and you just kind of want to be like, is that poor taste here? Should you really be doing that? But it's really cool, and I'll say the beginning of this issue, I really liked. It feels like a horror movie. I'll give you this description without giving away anything else. Imagine the opening of the Beverly Hillbillies, but as a horror movie. So maybe instead of shooting at some food, finding bubbling crude, they were shooting at a teenager that they had trapped in their house. Hills Have Eyes or or something like that. So really great opening scene to this, setting up this family that we've been exploring here and there, kind of getting some of their origin. What's cool also about the series is we have a lot of elements. So we have that family that was introduced, the Sampson family.
Right.
previous, which we get a lot more about them and kind of what their figurehead is going to be. Like, if this family wants to go out and have, a signature villain or something, we find out who that is. If they kind of have a suit, what kind of costume they wear, that's really cool. Um, but a lot of this issue is kind of setting up our next adventure now in Paris. So we have Gordon talking to Barbara and kind of what's it called when you finish a mission and you kind of information
like a debriefing.
like a debriefing
Okay.
with Barbara about what'd you find out about this, what'd you find about these people, and it gives us a good overview of, here's what's going on with Joker, here's what's going on with the people that hired Jim, here's what's going on with the Sampson family, and each of the pieces we know so far, and then kind of what we speculate going forward. So this is kind of a less actiony issue since the last one, because the stuff that ended up in Belize was pretty over the top. That was really cool, but uh, I'm excited about this one because even some of the stuff they explore with Vengeance, the new daughter of Bane,
Mhm.
uh, who created that character? What was the purpose of doing it? They bring up that where Bane's from don't necessarily have the technology to just create Bane after Bane. Like they don't have that. So
That have to be bankrolled by somebody
yeah.
else. Okay.
So is there somebody behind everything?
Hmm.
And I think that's really really cool. Um, and it ends with a really interesting moment where let's just say Gordon's fingerprints are showing up in places they shouldn't, and you'll have to read it to find out. But setting up our next adventure, I like this. Maybe every 5 or 6 issues, we go to a different location, and what does the Joker do in this country? In this country, so of course, like all of them, it's heavily about Jim Gordon, but with the dread and the underlying Joker threat in there as well. Some great covers. It also does have the backup story about Punchline and Harper Row in this one in jail and kind of how that's going down. So we have this awesome Terry Dodson variant with Punchline. We have this super creepy Tony Harris with that just horrifying fake eye he has.
Yeah.
It's like he got one size too big. And then we have the John Boy Myers Suicide Squad variant, which I love John Boy Myers' art style. That's so you can also speculate about this cover. And then finally we have the 1 in 25 Federici variant. And I'm going to say I read this issue and I'm still not 100% sure who this is on the cover. So if you know, let us know in the comments, because I am not positive who this is.
All right. Also from DC Comics, I read Hardware #1, the latest milestone comic that they have begun anew. So Hardware is another character. A lot of the milestone characters, I've been learning a lot about them now.
Yeah.
When I was younger and the comics were around, I only had so much money to follow so many comics, and those just weren't ones I followed. So it's kind of cool to get caught up. And, a lot of the original creators are behind these.
Yep.
So, for instance, this one, it's written by Brandon Thomas. The art's by Dennis Cohen, and Bill Sienkiewicz does the inks on it. I thought that's
It's
interesting.
awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I just think he does what he wants, and when he offers to do something, you don't say no. Like Sienkiewicz is like, I've always wanted to do Hardware. I don't have the time to do all the penciling. I'll just do the inking. And
Yeah.
they're like, yes, please do that. But it definitely improves the art. You get that Sienkiewicz sort of furiousness in
Yeah.
the
It's like everything is like
inking.
vibrating with
Mhm.
energy.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about this. So it starts out, and Hardware, his real name is Curtis Metcalf. And you learn that he has been framed for the Big Bang. So the Big Bang was the incident. It hurt a lot of people, but it also caused certain young people to get powers. That's where Static got his
Hmm.
powers. Static's villain got powers from it. So Curtis Metcalf was framed for this, and this gives a little bit of his history. But more than that, pretty much the Dakota City Police come after him in this
Mm.
issue. I mean, right off the bat, it gets running pretty fast, and the Dakota City Police come after him with everything they got. We're talking uh, little guns, big guns, helicopters. I mean, they are just gunning for him because they were told by a source they find reliable that he did this, even though it is, obvious that he
Hmm.
didn't do it and that there's some kind of cover up. So that's what a lot of this issue is. You get to, and because he's being chased, you get to see what his weapons are. You get to see, does he fly? How does he
Hmm.
fly? It's a good way to explore what are his powers as hardware,
Hmm.
which of course his powers are more that he has tech.
Hardware.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a long stretch, a big stretch to sort of guess that. We also learn why is he being framed? Who's framing him? If you read this, you'll find out who's framing him. Why is he being framed? What is his relationship with this person? So the last thing I'll say is, when it comes to heroes, you got to figure out what sort of hero is a person. Are they more Captain America side, or are they more like Punisher side
Yeah.
or Venom side or something? I know I'm using all Marvel heroes to describe a DC comic, but that's just what came to mind. Hardware is a true anti-hero. They show in this comic that if necessary, he will kill.
Hmm.
I didn't know that about him, so that to me colors a hero quite a bit.
Yeah.
Some people prefer that, some people don't. Definitely a lot more morally ambiguous when a hero will do that. So, um, so pretty fast-paced initial issue that sets up why he's running, uh, who his villain
Hmm.
is. That's pretty much what I would say about this issue. So the first variant we have is by the interior artist Dennis Cohen, and the next variant is by Bill Sinkovich.
I think that was the other way.
Oh, did I get them backwards? You're absolutely right. This is 100% Sinkovich. Look at that. So that is the Sinkovich, and this is the Dennis Cohen, which is neat because they team up on the interiors.
Yeah.
And lastly, we have the 1 in 25 Lopez variant. We are selling to our customers for $25. Andy was telling me about how much he likes this one.
Yeah, it's just like a cool like 90s manga style. I don't know. Over like the super like complex machinery and everything is really cool.
Yeah, it is definitely very different.
Yeah, don't look at that and think that's what the interior looks like, because it
No.
could be further from the truth.
Right.
So it is time to explore Infinite Frontier number 4 of 6. So it's gonna be a little difficult to like talk too much about this because this is issue 4 of 6. We got 2 issues left. So if you're reading it, I'm sure you're excited about it, but it's hard to say too much that would make a whole lot of sense to people who aren't reading it. But it is kind of all of our characters that have been spaced out through this. Roy Harper, who is a Black Lantern at this point. We have President Superman with Thomas Wayne, Batman, who have been investigating this weird spaceship crash that is one of the spaceships that can kind of go through dimensions in different worlds. And then we have the uh, the Justice Society side that's with Alan Scott and Obsidian looking for his daughter Jade. All those we can start to see, the threads tightening and they're all kind of moving together, and who is behind maybe each of these things and what's the grand plan. We do know that it was hinted at the last one that someone let slip a classic dark side is his new catchphrase ever since that Tom King series, where we do know Darkseid is involved, but we don't quite know how yet. Um, but I really like this issue. We discover who was behind Extract. The seems like they're not tied to any one reality or whatever. They can kind of slip in and grab somebody and come and pull them out of there. We learn who's behind that, and there is a final page, big surprise, and pretty cool. Um, I'll say maybe some first appearances. You'll have to read it to decide for yourself if you think that they classify as that, but
Hmm.
definitely check out this issue, and I'll be excited to see. Maybe I'm hoping because this is not in the middle of the story, but this is right before we start getting the big answers. We're
Right.
right there
Only
at
two more
the
issues
two
to get.
issue,
Yeah.
big conflict and wrap up type thing. So I'll be excited to read those to find out what is the grand plan for the DC universe. So we have a variant. This is the John K. Snyder the third variant with Peacekeeper, Blackguard, and Weasel. Really cool. And yeah, I think we're already out of the Hitch variant. There's a Brian Hitch variant that connects, but we are already out of it.
All right. So I read Children of the Atom #6. I think a lot is said on this cover as far as what is the drama to this issue. So, of course, it was revealed a few issues back that Gimmick had a secret she was keeping, which is that something was changing in her and she was becoming a real mutant, which means that she could pass over to Krakoa if she wanted. And in fact, last issue, she was invited to go to Krakoa. So, this issue, I mean, just look at the cover. She's standing there apart from the group. Everyone's looking sad. It looks like she's heading away from them. And I see a portal on the side there. So I like it when the cover, yeah, tells you what you're about to read. So that's a lot of what the story is. Beyond that, we get, funny enough, there is more Hellfire Gala in this.
You thought you were done.
I kid you
The
not.
party keeps going.
The Hellfire Gala's in this. And I mean, that's a lot of why last issue Storm invited her to the gala.
Yeah.
So there is gala in it. You get to see another outfit you haven't seen before.
Ooh.
A few other characters you haven't seen a lot at the gala. Gimmick meets a lot of mutants who have various advice for her. Because this is new to her. She doesn't even know like really what exactly her powers are, and somebody kind of tells her what her powers are, and she meets at least one of the top people with those powers. So it's like there's some heroes that fly and some that shoot a ray. It's sort of like what if you learned, let's say your power is shooting rays. Well, let's say Cyclops walks up and he's like, "Hey, you should come talk to me because
Yeah.
I know all about the shooting rays thing." Well, she meets sort of the top tier person that has her power, which is a character I like a lot. So past that, I guess the thing you'll find out in this is, will she learn to fit in at Krakoa, or will she be homesick? I mean, will she really just leave the team, leave her friends? Um, so that's a lot of what this will explore, and I think by the end you will see a resolution. Lastly, there was one part of this I thought was really good, where her family, they've explored each character. The 1st bunch of issues was, we're just going to focus on this character, and not just them with the team, but with them with their families. So we've already met her family, and in this issue, there's a scene where she has to tell her family that she's a mutant, and I thought that was really interesting. It's not necessarily. I mean, I think for us comic readers, it'd be thrilling.
Yeah.
We go like, "Oh, hey, mom, I got powers." But if you really think about it, that puts you in a lot of danger. And in the Marvel universe, mutants are not liked.
Yeah.
They're hated
Still.
by most people. So seeing her have to reveal this to her family was a very good scene, and they don't just touch on it. It's a big part of it. So I thought that was really cool. I know it's been done once or twice before, but we don't see a lot of that. So, and we have one variant here. This is the Chang variant. I think this variant cover is really good. Just her in the middle of the X, all the different mutants. Just, you get a feeling of her isolation, even though she's in her group. she's still very isolated because she didn't grow up that way, and she's not used to it. So
Do you think we're gonna get much more of this series, or does it feel like she's gonna branch off into being in something else? Maybe the team would get like shaken up a little bit, or
it reveals too much for me to have to say. Honestly,
okay.
if I told you that, it's like so you'll just have to read.
It's very interesting kind of dilemma they have because you have this core team, but like one is different, and how does that shake up everything?
Yeah, I mean, I know this book isn't for everyone, and that's fine. But if you want to read about younger characters dealing with younger issues and being new to both the team and powers, they're doing it right. If
Yeah.
that's your thing, you're gonna like this. If you're like, I don't want that. I want established people who know their
Yeah.
powers and the battles are over, life and death and the planet, then maybe it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
But they're doing what they're trying to do well.
there was a time where Rogue was that character, where she was new and she didn't fit in, and she didn't like necessarily the way things were done. So I think that's cool that every so often we need that new batch of new kids to kind of show, well, how far have the older ones come, and what can they teach the new ones,
and how different times are now.
Yeah.
To tell a story like that. So,
well, one mentioned just briefly I thought was really cool. This is Wonder Woman number 777. Can you believe it? 777 issues of Wonder Woman, and this one is really cool. So at the end of the previous issue, Wonder Woman had been bouncing through all the different things, the graveyard of the gods, and this kind of fairy tale utopia that she was in last one. But in the end of the last one, she kind of emerged out of a portal, and she was on what looked like just like a New York City street. And I kind of thought like, oh, I guess she's back. How is this going to work into it? Well, there's other universes that have pretty normal looking cities that even she would be familiar with. She has arrived on Earth 11. As you can see on the cover, in this Earth, some of the genders are swapped, and it is really cool. This is an established universe. This is in the kind of multiversal guide.
right.
But we see some new elements here. So you've got, instead of Superman, you have Superwoman, you have Batwoman, you have Jessie Quick. It's funny seeing Wonder Woman figure out what universe she's on, because she goes into their Hall of Justice. It looks like the same one she was used to, and Miss Martian shows up. She's like, "Oh, I like your new look," and they're like, "I don't know who you are." So it's a really cool thing. But as you can see, maybe in this universe there is a version of Wonder Man that is not, let's say he's not on the normal team, because he is kind of a horrible character. But really cool to see Wonder Woman go up against this character and teamed up with they're not the Justice League in this, they are the Justice Guild. And really fun issue, and really cool to see maybe where they're going next. So this run of Wonder Woman has been a lot of fun, and I like all the things they're putting her up against and how she handles it. And what does it mean to kind of take her off the table in the normal universe when she doesn't have all the, the Justice League backing her up if she needs, or the other Themyscirans to back her up. She's kind of on her own, handling things by herself. And I think that's really fun in this. We also have this is the Murray variant, the Suicide Squad variant, with Harley and Weasel and Amanda Waller.
All right, so I read Detective Comics 1041. This is more of the Vile plot line. And of course, Vile has been releasing this sort of bacteria stuff that gets in you and turns you violent and messes you up, and eventually it kills you. So that is the general villain and what has been going on. So this issue, so many bad things have happened to Batman over the last bunch of issues. I mean, Bruce Wayne, the last issue, he had to spend the night in the drunk tank. He wasn't drunk, that's just where they put him.
Yeah.
So many bad things have happened that in this issue, he actually has to call Oracle on a regular phone. Like, he just has to dial up Oracle, and Oracle's like, "You're calling me on a regular phone? What has been going on with you?" So I think that's cool, that he's been through so much that his tech's gone, his gear's gone, all the way down to, like, he doesn't even have a regular cell phone anymore. So that's kind of where things start. Um, so Batman, he is trying to find Mr. Worth because Mr. Worth is trying to kill him and trying to kill Bruce Wayne for the death. He blames him for the death of his daughter Sarah, who was murdered a bunch of issues back. But even as Batman's looking for Worth, someone has taken out a billboard that reads Batman, deliver Bruce Wayne. And it's signed The Jury. Now, last issue promised there'd be a new group in this called The Jury. So, who is The Jury? You will have to read the issue because they are in this. In fact, Batman goes before them and has to present his case on why both him and Bruce Wayne, and they do not know, of course, he's Bruce Wayne, are innocent for the death of Sarah Worth. So you get to see who the jury is. You get to hear Batman as he pleads with them. Let's just say they're not very sympathetic, and it's an uphill battle for him to convince them of anything. So that's mostly all that's going on in Detective Comics 1041. At least that's the
Spoiler-free.
Light to free plot of it. Many other things to read. And then here is the Lee Bermejo variant. Question is he taking it off or is he putting it on? Do not know. He looks serious. I'd say he's probably
getting ready to go out.
Yeah.
It's also not all beaten up yet. So.
There you go. Yeah.
So, one that I did not get a chance to read too much. I just got a chance to kind of skim through it. This is Pennyworth #1, based on the TV show that I have not seen, so I could not tell you if some of these characters were new or not. I do know Alfred. I'm decently familiar with that character. But this, I do know, picks up after the series has ended. It was I believe an FX show, and it's over, and this kind of bridges the gap between the show and the Alfred that we know today, that is the butler for Bruce Wayne. And also in this, I thought it was pretty cool that we do get a glimpse of that later Alfred. You know, we haven't seen Alfred in a long time.
Yeah.
He got killed now a couple of years ago. So this is it's nice to see a pencil thin mustached Alfred in a comic. It is very James Bond feeling. Probably people who watch the show knew that already, but really cool. Very espionage, Cold War era stuff. So really cool. If you're a fan of the show, it looks like this is going to be right down the line for you, and a nice wrap up to that series as well. There's also a really nice variant cover. This is the Gedeon variant, and that is also your interior artist on it. It's a very suave, handsome, young Alfred.
This is a DC heavy week.
Wow.
No doubt about it. And it just goes that way sometimes. So I read Batman Urban Legends #6. So this ends a lot of the plot lines they had going on in the previous issues. But some major things happen in this. In fact, one of the things is making the news. You might even have heard it before you watch this video. First, though, I want to talk about the Jason Todd plot line in this. They've been doing the Red Hood story that I think has been a really good story through the whole thing. It started off in issue 1 where Red Hood has killed a criminal, but the criminal had a son. And so Red Hood's trying to figure out what to do about this. It's definitely a moral quandary. Well, by the end of this issue, which ends the Red Hood part of the tale, Red Hood makes a decision that is very important. That's what I'll say. He makes a very, very important decision. And in response, Bruce Wayne gives him a gift, which is also sort of a message. That's also very important. So I was shocked to see some of the things that happened in that story. It's a really satisfying ending to that tale, though. And it may go overshadowed because there's another story in here. It ends the Tim Drake story. And this is the one that a lot of you are probably hearing about. It's been making the news. But Tim Drake Something happens between Tim Drake and a friend of his that I cannot reveal, but it will change the way people think about Tim Drake going forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's as much as I'll say.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's two other stories in this because that's what they do in the urban legends. They just tell a lot of various stories. So, pretty monumental issue. I think a lot of people are going to grab it. Read the end of that Jason Todd story.
Yeah.
Like, you'll see what I'm talking about. That's a major one, too. He makes a major decision, and Bruce Wayne makes a pretty big gesture back at him for the decision he makes. And we have this one variant by Ijitier. Really good Black Canary.
Is there a Black Canary story in it?
You know, no, there isn't. But my time was running out.
Yeah.
And I flipped through a little bit of this. She might have been in one of the stories, but I don't believe she is. So still a great cover.
Great cover.
Yeah.
Love Black Canary. Okay, and my last two things to mention are some really nice reprints. So we have the second printing of Justice League number 64, which was the first appearance, the full team appearance of United, which is kind of this intergalactic Justice League team, but put together to kind of take the Justice League's place a little bit. So it's the same cover as the other one, just tinted kind of a violet color. But a lot of people were clamoring for that first appearance of that other team. And then a big one people are going to want.
Yep.
This is Nice House on the Lake, number 1, third printing. You can tell it's third because more of the cover is dissolved or burned or something off, or you can see more of the inside pages. This series has been so good, and a lot of people getting all the printings of it. Keep it going. People keep buying these because I want to see how far we can dissolve this cover in printing after printing till there's nothing left of it. But yeah, this one, a lot of people are going to be grabbing for to get all of them because this thing is just primed to be a mini-series, like an HBO mini-series or something. So get all the printings of this because also it's a great series.
Okay, I have a reprint I'd like to talk about. Black Cat Annual number 1 gets a reprint, and the cover will show you why. It is the first appearance of a new Korean superhero team called Tiger Division. And I can't remember how many first appearances are in this. I think it's like 4 of the members at least is their first appearance. Back when Black Cat Annual dropped, the first print, if you watch our shows, I told everyone go grab it. I have a bunch of them, and they have gone up in value. You know, it's not crazy money yet, but they've gone up in value, the A cover at least. And now the second print is there, so you might want to grab this at whatever store you go to. I'm certainly picking it up. And lastly, this is something that we were heavily allocated on. So this is not for sale. Our store, or I'm sorry, our show isn't just selling things. In fact, the main thing our show does is we just talk about the comics and try to educate people, whatever store you go to. So they have released this death metal vinyl record. There are several versions of this, but the one that only comic stores could get is this version, the Wonder Woman. So only comic stores could order this. So you may see different covers that different other bookstores could order and record stores. This is the one only we could. We tried to get 24 of these, and they sent us 2. We got exactly 2. We already had people who pre-ordered them that are getting them, so these are sold to the people who asked first. But I just wanted to show it off because I think it's very cool, very neat they're doing this. This is original music inspired by the comic series.
Yeah, and also note that, so this week was that one. Now, there's supposed to be some over the next, I think, 3 weeks, like little LP singles that are coming out as well. We don't know how many of those we're getting.
No.
So we had people who asked for those. We're gonna do the best we can to get those people what they asked for. But it's, you know, you get what you get, and that's been a kind of a new thing that I'm glad that we can inform people of. That, you know, from a store standpoint, It may not be that your store, oh, why didn't you order this? They could have ordered 200 of those and
Yeah.
only received two.
We
Or maybe,
order a scary amount of things we think we're gonna get allocated on. I figure, what's the most we could ever have where it wouldn't really harm our store,
yeah,
and we order that amount, and then it's always funny when they're like, "Oh, here's two."
yeah. So just know if your store didn't have it, maybe they say, "Oh, we already sold out of it." It may be because they only got one or two.
Yep.
So don't be too upset with them. We're all in this together, trying to figure out how we get the stuff we want.
That is correct. So the best you can do is when we had a show where we talked about these, and we had some people very early on
Mm-hmm.
ask us, and getting your name on whatever store you shop's list first is the way to do it. So keep watching our shows, stay informed. We'll do the best job we can to help
Mm-hmm.
inform you.
Yep.
So anyway, that is our show for this week. Remember, this Saturday is free comic book day. So if you're in our area, drop on by. We're opening up early. We're opening at 10 a.m. because it's always a big day.
Yeah. Yep. Contact your whatever comic book store you go to. Find out what their rules are.
Mm-hmm.
How many comics you're allowed to get there. It's always good to know going in because everybody handles it different.
They
There's
do.
no official way
No.
places do free comic book day, and so get a leg up on everybody else who may stumble in there and their store may either be out of stuff or who knows.
Really, the only rules to it are you can't release them before that
Yeah.
Saturday. And secondly, you have to give away for free, no purchase necessary, at least one.
Okay.
Those are the only official rules that I know. And,
Mhm.
I talked with representatives
Yeah.
of it years back when we opened. So, okay, well, if you're watching us on YouTube and we have it all been helpful, you've enjoyed the show, enjoy your time hearing about these comics from us, please hit subscribe. Every little bit helps. We keep reaching more and more people are hearing about the show all the time. So until next time, we will be back on Friday with Comics from the Future,
Yep.
where we'll be talking about all the latest comics that are still open order. So until then, we will see you.